Hello and welcome to post-match reaction to Ireland versus the All Blacks. And Ireland have won 29-20 in this one. A cracking game between these two sides. It's just a quick chat because we have got England versus Australia coming up. And joining me to a quick chat, it's Con. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, not too bad, Paul. Not too bad. What about yourself?
Yeah, managed to
Late
get up for
night
this
for you?
one. It's well, early morning. Yes, we've got the windows closed for lighting, but hey, we can get those open soon because yes, heading into summer here. But clearly, winter up in up in Europe, and thankfully we had some better weather than we did have here yesterday, where we had a really wet game over there in Taranaki. But no, the weather was good for some good handling rugby, and boy, Ireland came out of the blocks and had a great first half, but some interesting decision making, going for the corner all the time. To be trailing most of the time, but turning down threes and going to the corner all the time. I thought that was a strange decision.
Well, yes. I mean, if they'd lost, they would have forensically picked that apart. I think their strategy, though, came up well, and that they just wanted to impose themselves, on the All Blacks, show the aggression, keep territory, show that they weren't afraid to attack them, and I think that did play out because the All Blacks were, while they defended very, very well, and I think that has to be said given the loss. It was pretty heroic defence. They struggled, and Ireland were making meters a lot of the time in the first half when both halves, to be fair, when they were being attacked. So it was pretty impressive, pretty impressive. So I agree with you. More, if they'd taken their kicks, there would have been a few more on the board, but the strategy worked well for them.
I'm going to disagree. I think they should have had this game, or should have been in the lead much by a much bigger margin, and should definitely be leading at half time. I was amazed. I got Ireland at $4 at half time on the TAB. I only put $1 on, so it's not like I won much. But but I was surprised that at 10-all at half time, having had Ireland dominate all that half. I think there was a feeling probably here amongst the New Zealand fans anyway that they would go into the sheds, there'd be some coaching advice, and they'd come out and change a few things and take the game by the scruff of the neck. But that really did not happen, and Ireland managed to continue their the same domination of possession, going through quite a lot of phases, which means something that's a style of play for them. But this time did start kicking their threes and building a lead there.
Yes, I think the All Blacks did. They did play better in the second half. They got some territory, which allowed them to play better. If that Kiriwani try had stuck, and it was, I think the Ben O'Keefe was pushing for it to stick. He didn't want to bother with the angles. He was actually going, I can't see anything, and it was very, very close to sticking. It was definitely pretty likely to be a forward pass. But if that had stuck, it would have seemed like the All Blacks had a good chance they might have went on to win, and it would have seemed like the All Blacks had a really big bounce back. I think the reality was that Ireland did play amazingly well, and they should have been far more points ahead. And I think if the All Blacks escaped and got the win, it wouldn't have been hollow because they played well, the All Blacks, at defence in particular. But it wouldn't have been as deserving as it would, as Ireland, who was deserved victors.
Now, as you say, they would have escaped with victory. There would be victory from the jaws of death. Boa's about to join us, but I'm not sure I should let him on with being. Oh no, he's just disappeared off. The singlet though, I thought was all dear me. Not sure we should be having Boa in a singlet on the screen, but hopefully he'll join us back and we'll get his point of view. 193 tackles by the All Blacks. Look, one of the big things about this was their goal line defence in that first half was epic. Really put their bodies on the line. Really. after some early penalties for offside by putting their hands over the line, really listened to Luke Pearce, and it was Luke Pearce, not Ben O'Keefe, who was the referee. Really did get that onside with the hands there, and had some massive defensive sets up against Ireland. Only 46 tackles required by Ireland in this one. And I say Ireland went through. It says they only had 60% possession in the end, but I guess that's a third more, or half again, as to what the All Blacks had. But it felt like a lot more than that. And from a territory point of view, they played in the right parts of the area. A player that has come out of this with his reputation enhanced is going to be James Lowe, someone I really enjoyed watching when he used to play at the Chiefs. Him and Dave McKenzie made a great counter-attacking duo. Had some criticism of his defence, but I thought had a cracking game today. Made some key tackles, really snuffed out a couple of All Blacks opportunities, and one that got away. I think maybe some New Zealand fans will be thinking now.
Yeah, yes and no. I think we're pretty spoiled for our outside backs, so I think. But he did play very. But I mean, just holding him so no one else can have him would have been a good idea. He did play really well. I think they were, their ball handling, their passing was excellent, and you can't say the same about ours.
No, and sun's out, guns out for Boa. So Boa, your initial reaction to this game?
Well, look, clearly, completely and utterly outplayed, and I don't know. The All Blacks looked very sleepy today. They were hell-bent on kicking the ball away. And, Ireland, the better team, won. They played the game at pace. They were very, very good in stringing faces together, which the All Blacks didn't do. And for me, the most telling statistic was in the first half, the All Blacks had to make more than 125 tackles in 40 minutes. So that pretty much summed up the day. And for whatever reason, the All Blacks just weren't in the game for large parts of the match, and they just hung back and waited for moments of brilliance, which they had. But overall, look, I don't think I'm too unhappy, because we saw a great game of Test footy, and Ireland played some amazing rugby. All Blacks were beaten at their own game, so well done to Ireland. And it was a bit. It's always disappointing when the All Blacks lose. I thought we witnessed a great game of Test footy. Just a bit disappointed that the All Blacks really didn't show their complete hand in attacking Test rugby.
Well, that's a key thing, isn't it? That the Irish defence managed to put pressure on the All Blacks and stop them from getting that ball wide, whereas the All Blacks defence, whilst look, they made a stack load of tackles. Sam Whitelock, 18, no tackles missed. Ethan Blackadder, 20 tackles, 2 missed. Dalton Papali'i, 22 tackles, just 1 missed. And a lot of tackles, but not over the gain line. Whereas when Ireland were making their tackles, the line speed meant that they were in the All Blacks' faces, and it was quite often behind the gain line there. Whereas when the All Blacks were tackling, it was either on or past the gain line already before they got the chance to tackle the player. So now, whether that's you've got to say that. And one of the things they kind of they talked about was that Mike Catt is the attack coach, and clearly he has engineered something that allows them to get over that gain line and get the ball into players' hands without them being under pressure and a player in their face. And that was some great tactics there. Little little pop passes just before the tackle, and worked really well. And I think actually also on defence by Ireland was you tackle all the players that are running at you. Now, yes, that means you're tackling or you're making contact with non-ball carriers. Just be careful not to put them on the ground. And that meant that the clearing out New Zealand player isn't quite there because he's already been contacted. Now, look, is that obstruction? Is that whatever? I don't know. But it's well played because it isn't blown up, and that allowed the Jackalers to get over that ball and stop New Zealand from having the ball.
Yep, I think when we would make a tackle and they would go to ground, it didn't feel like we were threatening the breakdown and attempting to take the ball or even disrupting it significantly. When they would tackle us, it felt like the breakdown it felt like they were threatening the ball every single time. And to be fair, considering the number of times, I guess, the number of phases, how few they were, the amount of turnovers or penalties they got, I expect the percentage was very high. It did feel like and I'm not sure of the stats. It's just sort of what I'm thinking. It did feel like we tended to, we weren't using our forwards to try and make small meters or just try and make gains unless we were in their 22. So we tended to pass it, go through the backs, to negate their rush defence. We were flinging it very far back. So that meant we were even more likely to lose meters if we were tackled. And yes, as you said, Boa, we were hoping for moments of brilliance, which came off more than they ought to have. And the backs they didn't look confident in how they were moving the ball and attacking. They looked frightened, and that was partially because they were scared of making a mistake because they were in our 40 meter or 30 or whatever. It was deep, often in our 22 or more likely just clearly in our territory. So the backs didn't look confident, I felt, in our half at all.
One crucial adjustment, I think, this particular All Blacks team, and also I think New Zealand rugby, particularly at elite level, have to make when they play in the Northern Hemisphere and when you have a Northern Hemisphere referee on the day, is that we can't be playing this passive zero ruck. We have to look at contesting the ruck, and because this whole pattern of being passive at the ruck kind of rubs off, and we are not as physical as we should be, and we're always looking to play from behind our gain line, and to me that's it's been a bit symptomatic for the last 2 to 3 years, and this is something I've actually voiced with NZR High Performance, that we need to look at coaching our senior to elite level players in a slightly different way when we tend to defend rucks, not be passive and totally depend on zero ruck all the time. Because if you look at most of our high performance competitions, the NPC and Super Rugby, the way the game is officiated and also how players don't contest the ruck, so long as you have a referee who is willing to play the breakdown the way it's supposed to, it's all good, because we will see players staying behind and not sort of getting in players' faces, so that there's enough space for the game to happen. But as soon as you come to the Northern Hemisphere, it's a very, very different ballgame, and the referees tend to allow players to almost, leave their feet and dive in. We saw plenty of that today. There was a lot of sealing of the ruck. But again, this whole interpretation thing comes to it, and it's a failure I feel, from the All Blacks as well as New Zealand rugby overall, that we haven't adapted to this situation.
Well, England versus Australia has already kicked off, so I need to get onto that game. But so just very quickly on this one, folks, players who had good games, Killian Dorris, Jack Conan, two Lucy's, perhaps not well known to New Zealand public, but I think names that we're going to know now because those two guys had cracking games, as did James Lowe for Ireland. On the New Zealand side, I think there'll be some question marks over TJ Perenara and his speed of delivery. I think that caused a bit of an issue. This evening.
Accuracy
night.
too, Paul. Accuracy to the shoulder. Too many times, pass it to the shoulder.
Yep.
Of course.
I think those to me are some of the names that stood out. Any quick names, guys?
Well, no, for me,
Midland.
Just wanted to say, the moment of the match, we should have taken the line out when we had Ireland on the rack, and it should have been a yellow card there because there's no clear release. The tackler didn't roll away. Instead, we took the 3. Yes, we got the 3, but to me, that was the clear-cut moment of the match, and we just left Ireland off the hook.
Agreed.
Right.
Sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, I'm just wrapping things up. John's trying to join us, but John, sorry, you're too late. I've got to get off. We're closing up because it's England versus Australia is just kicking off, folks. Well, I'll try and be back live after that one as well. Enjoy all the rugby. There's just way too much of it. Well, hey, that's an oxymoron. You can never have too much rugby, but it's great. So enjoy the game. Cracking test match that was. And well done to Ireland.
Yeah, congrats, Ireland. Good work.